Blue Jays season is over. They have not won a game now for what seems like 100 years, and Jays fans are very, very mad at not only John Schneider, not only at the players, but at themselves for being a fan of this team. So we're gonna break it down, and Peter's very, very upset right now. So stay tuned for what's coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? Nick Gosse, your host of Jays Digest, alongside Peter. I don't usually do the intro, and both of us are on it, but Peter's a bit beside himself here, so I took over for this one. And Peter, I don't even know where to begin with this. We were the optimists earlier, the video earlier today. Can barely get my words out here. This was a brutal game, a brutal season, the end to a brutal season. If there's any solace in the season ending, I know a lot of Jays fans out there are happy that this miserable season has ended. Huge changes are coming for this team, whether that be on the player front. I think everything is available. Everything is open. I'm not even going to ask for you guys to hit the subscribe button because I know everyone's pissed. Peter, what are your thoughts?
All right, man. I'm going to take my hat off for this one, okay? It's come to an end. It's come to a painful end, this Toronto Blue Jays season. It was inevitable. It was inevitable. They've been the same team in these past two games that we knew that they were. We tried to remain optimistic, Nick. But the truth is, they can't hit. They can't hit home runs. They can't drive in runners in scoring position. They can pitch just fine. But ever since baseball started in the early 1840s, the rule of thumb was that you probably got to score more than 0 runs, or whatever it was called back then in the 18th century. You got to score more than 0 to win a game. In every sport, you can't even win in golf with 0, and that's a sport where you got to shoot the lowest score possible. So it just shows you that this Blue Jays team is just not the team that was going to go far this year. And there were sky-high expectations placed on this group. The individual talent, no one was doubting that. But look at the move that John Schneider made to put in Yusei Kikuchi with Jose Barrios, and we'll elaborate on that as this video goes along. But your star player, or I'll say star player in quotations, Vladdy's getting picked off at second base when your best hitter is up to bat. He's totally clueless on the base pass in a 2-run ball game in the playoffs. What the hell are we doing here? What are we doing here, Nick? Why are these things continuously happening to this Jays team? These are things that are drilled into you by the time you start playing baseball at 5 years old. And especially as the son of a major leaguer, you'd think you wouldn't want to get picked off in that kind of situation. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just losing my marbles here.
Nope.
Maybe I don't even know what I'm watching anymore on that TV. But it just does not make sense to me as to why Vladdy is getting picked off. It doesn't make sense to me why these boneheaded moves keep happening over and over again. And this was the 164th game that they played this season. Explain it to me, Nick, because I'm looking for answers and I still don't know.
Yeah, so we're going to break down a lot of it. Again, this isn't our normal structured video, so let's start with a few things here. What you said is absolutely right. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets picked off at second right after telling Bo Bichette to remain calm. The camera panned to him, telling him to remain calm, then he gets picked off. The John Schneider move is kind of the headline here. There's two things we need to... I want to make one thing very, very clear as well. We're allowed, to be critical of John Schneider's decision while also saying that the offense is horrible. They don't, you don't have to pick one or the other. They were both brutal. The offense was horrible. The decision by John Schneider, whether it's John Schneider, whether it's the front office, whoever made that decision needs to go. And I would not be surprised if John Schneider is out of a job very, very soon. And let's pop up, Peter, some of the reactions, including your own. I included your own tweet in this, so follow Peter Vryonis on Twitter if you're a fan. Let me go through the screenshots here. So this is one of them. You have every single person on Twitter going ballistic. People who don't even follow baseball. I didn't get the screenshot of that. But we have John Axford, former Jays pitcher. I've just got so much to say yet. I'm speechless. Not a fan of yanking the guy, regardless. And this isn't John Schneider sitting in his office and having an idea in the dark at all. A strategy like this involves a range of coaches. We get that. It's not the point is, Peter, so they're right here, Peter. John Schneider, whoever made the decision, needs to be fired. Removing our super sharp makes no sense. And this screams over analytics. It screams over managing. And the biggest thing it screams to me is that they had a plan before the game, no matter what was happening, that Jose Barrios was going to get pulled third time through, whatever it was. I don't even know if it was a third time through the order. It makes zero sense to me. The offense is absolutely horrible, which we'll get to in a second, Peter. But looking at this decision in a nutshell, someone needs to get fired just because of the decision. Why on earth would you this was probably Jose Barrios' best start, best looking stuff in his Blue Jays career, maybe even in his entire career. That's what everyone was saying on Twitter. His slurve was moving. You knew it from the first inning when his fastball, the first strikeout of the game. I'm beside myself about that decision. Did that decision cost us the game?
Yeah.
You can't say it cost us the game because the offense goes out and scores 0 runs. Matt Chapman was an intro. I lost my voice the past week cheering for this team and then ultimately yelling about this team with my buddies. And it makes me just sad that baseball is over, and I don't even know. We'll get into the offense in a second. This will be probably...
Take that down. Take that box score down, man.
Yeah,
Take that
yeah,
box
we're not
score
even going to look
down.
at it.
I don't even want to look at that atrocity right now. I don't want to look at it. Now, let me say this, Nick. You're going to say it didn't cost them the game? You're damn right it cost them the game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Two things can cost you
them
the game. Two things can cost you the game.
They had zero. They had 0 runs. They had 0 runs. I will acknowledge that. Now, I'm not one to blame the manager in a game where the team scores 0 runs because he's not out there in the batter's box. But what it did do was it demoralized the Jays team that had all the momentum in that game. The minute that Yusei Kikuchi came out of that bullpen, you could see the expression on the guys has changed. Now, I tweeted this, and I'm not one to tweet during a baseball game. I love just watching the game. I love hearing the sounds of the game. I don't touch my phone when the Blue Jays play. But this one decision in particular had me beside myself. It had me beside myself because you have a guy that's rolling, a guy that you gave $121 million to the offseason prior, who you're yanking after three innings. After what?
3 1/3. 3 1/3.
No, 3 1/3. 3 1/3. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And the Jays were humming defensively. The 3 innings. You didn't even get to go a third of an inning there. The Jays were humming defensively. Jose Barrios' stuff was sharp. He was striking guys out. And John Schneider, I don't know who made this decision. You saw the camera pan to Pete Walker over there, and he left the dugout. I'm like, why?
Who knows if that could have been him getting mad?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he was leaving the dugout. I'll tell you why. Because John Schneider and Don Mattingly were plotting the downfall of the Toronto Blue Jays in the other corner of the dugout. That's why Pete Walker was pissed off, and he left the playing surface. Because John Schneider and Don Mattingly were twiddling their thumbs, thinking of a way to lose this ball game, and they went ahead and did that. It was pathetic. It was a pathetic decision, pulling Jose Barrios after 47 pitches. Yeah, he's all smiles after the game. He's a good teammate, but he should have been out there later on in the game, and that's what lost them the game. I don't care about the 0 runs. That demoralized them, and that ultimately did the team in. It was just a pathetic, sorry excuse of a decision. John Schneider needs to go. Don Mattingly needs to go. Fire everyone except for Pete Walker. Trade everyone. I don't care. Do what you have to do. If Pete Walker wants to go out there by himself and stand there on the mound and represent the Blue Jays, I'll be okay with that because it's an upgrade over this sorry-ass team that we have right here, Nick.
Yeah, I agree. And, you look at Jose Barrios, and huge shout out to him. He took it like an absolute champ, and it almost seemed like he knew it was coming because it was pre-planned for the game. Get the flames in there for Peter for your fired up rant there. I don't even know what to say, and it's just a weird time to be a Jays fan. And, I'm seeming not happy, jokes. There's no other way. We're used to it as Jays fans for sure. And Peter, I know this might bring you back some bad memories of an hour ago, but Sonny Gray, look at all those meatballs, Peter. I was saying it throughout the game. It's the same thing as the Pablo Lopez game. There were so many pitches right down the middle. I can count. I don't even know if I can count on 2 hands. I don't even know if I'm saying right. The amount of times that Brandon Belt missed pitches right down the middle was absurd. It was asinine, and the entire game, Blue Jays Twitter went bonkers. And the thing is here, Peter, is changes are going to come. And let me just say this about the John Schneider decision, and we are kind of already covered. The offense is just as much a part of the loss, either way, as the John Schneider decision. I think they work hand in hand together. I agree with you. It completely takes the wind. I said it right away. The wind were out of my sails as soon as that happened. I don't care if we would have came back and won the game. That's a bit of a lie. I would have cared a little bit. But the point is that it was just absurd to me, Peter. And I think BKUH, the guy who broke the George Springer news, made a very, very good tweet. You should not make that pitching decision if for the antics alone. And as soon as you do that, you're going to get ripped. It makes no baseball sense. Every single person, you have people who don't even know baseball texting me, asking Ben Rogers, host of Raptors Digest, who does not watch the Jays very much, texted me and said, why on earth are they pulling Barrios? When you have people who don't watch the sport questioning every single move, why would you make the move? It made no sense. Kikuchi, not only that, if you're going to do that, bring in a guy who is a reliever, not Yusei Kikuchi, who had not been reliever all year. You had to put him out of his comfort zone, and he did a fine job given the hand that he was given. You're making a start in the biggest start of his career. I don't know. We're gonna have videos for you guys where the content's never gonna stop. It's gonna be almost daily. Whether Peter might take a little bit of a break, but regardless, I don't even know, Peter. I wanted to throw this up here. Absolutely absurd. This was before the game even ended. They missed multiple more hanging curveballs down the middle. And how fitting was it that Dalton Varsho was the guy who struck out to end the Blue Jays season? And not a knock on him. It was just the way that it works. You have Gabby Moreno for Arizona. No home runs in this postseason. The two guys who hit home runs last postseason, Peter, Danny Jansen, Teoscar Hernandez. Neither of them were, of course, on the Blue Jays roster. I don't know what to say. It sucks. It's brutal. Changes are going to come. If there's one bright side to think about it, it's that there is no doubt that someone gets fired, someone gets moved. If I come back in the winter meetings and we're still talking about John Schneider, Don Mattingly, Ross Atkins, then I don't know. We're going to have to change something. Or at the very least, fire Guillermo Martinez because the hitting approach is brutal. Send everyone a drive line. Send George Springer a drive line. I'm done with it all. Any thoughts here before we I guess wrap it up? And
one more thing here. One more thing for me before I sign off. If you're a border agent in the greater Toronto area, I'm calling for help here. You better not let a single Blue Jay, except for Kevin Kiermaier and Jose Barrios, back into the country. How about that? But in all seriousness, man, I mean, this season was just a roller coaster of emotions. It was demoralizing at times. Other times it looked good, but at no point in the season did I ever feel confident in this Blue Jay team. And last year, I think you could say the same thing. It wasn't great last year either, but they showed flashes of being a team. And there's one point that I want to make about this Blue Jay team that we're witnessing right now, as opposed to 2015, 2016, when the Blue Jays last felt some playoff success. In 2015, 2016, you had a bunch of journeymen, a bunch of guys that came to Toronto and then became superstars. Jose Bautista was nearly out of the league before coming to the Toronto Blue Jays. Josh Donaldson was hitting 100 in his first year in the big leagues. He was an all-star in Oakland. He turned himself into an MVP. Edwin Encarnacion was nearly DFA'd by the Cincinnati Reds. He became a superstar hitter in Toronto. These are guys that had to scratch, claw, and fight for everything that they got in the big leagues. And then the Blue Jays made the subsequent moves by acquiring David Price, Troy Tulowitzki, and really shoring up that team. They ultimately fell short, but they didn't back down to anybody. And they were right there. They were right on the brink of going to the World Series and potentially winning a World Series. But when I watch this Blue Jay team, when I watch this core of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, I see guys that don't play the game the right way, that are not born natural leaders. Now, they're fathers of big leaguers. They should theoretically be doing things the right way, but sometimes it's just not in you. And I think the talent level on this team is greater than the one that we had in 2015, 2016. I truly do. And I'm not just saying that because I want you guys to stick in tune with the channel and to keep watching this team. I'm saying it because it's the truth. I've never seen a pitching staff like this. I've never seen a better collection on paper of talent in my life as a Blue Jay fan. But it doesn't matter. The game's not played on paper, and that was proven today by the way that it played out on the field. The game's not played on paper. You don't pull a pitcher after 47 pitches, and you don't win the game based on analytics. You win the game based off of feel. You win the game based off of in-game adjustments, and the feel has just been totally sapped out of this Blue Jay team. It's going to be a long offseason for the both of us, Nick. It's going to be a long offseason for them and the Blue Jays front office. And changes better be coming because there's no way they can sell this same exact team back to the fan base next year. It just won't work.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to post our last video of the regular season. One final housekeeping things before I wrap up. The videos are still going to be basically daily. There's going to be tons to talk about, probably more to talk about now, especially because of everything that happened. And some changes are going to be made, and there's a lot to be optimistic about, but we're going to save that for future videos. And we also want to thank you all for, tuning in to every one of our videos, whether you tune into one, whether this is your first one, whether you, tuned in throughout the whole season. Thank you guys. The videos are not going to stop. They're never going to stop. So we're going to continue to have daily content for you guys. But when it comes to, the regular season and watching the Jays and the reactions and stuff like that, obviously that's going to have to come to an end. But thank you to everyone who tuned in to any of our videos. It means the world to us and all of our supporters and everyone, even the haters. Thank you, everyone. And Peter, any quick thanks to them before we wrap up here? We're getting long.
Yeah, no, we went long, but I think it's fitting. Just to kind of recap the way that the season has gone. It's not the way that we wanted it to end, and obviously this episode was just a bit of a gong show, and we went off the rails there. But that happens. I mean that's going to happen. This Blue Jays season went off the rails, but you guys didn't. All of our supporters didn't. You guys stuck with us all season long. We read each and every comment that we get, even the good ones, even the bad ones. I mean, we're there for all of it. And none of this is possible without you guys. You guys really support us to the brink. And I'm just super thankful to have a community like this that we built, Nick, and to all 8,400 of you or however many are out there watching our videos. It's just been a pleasure, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here all off season long. We're going to have you covered every step of the way, and it's not going to change. I mean, obviously, we're going to hope for some more Blue Jay success in the future, but this isn't the end of Jay's Digest. It's just the end of an unfortunate season that really fell short for the Blue Jays. But thanks to each and every one of you, and we love you all. Truly, we really do.
Yeah, and it was brutal season. But that being said, we're gonna be here making videos when hopefully one day they win the World Series. At the very least, this time next year. Hopefully when they're in the playoffs, we'll be having an entire different conversation. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you everyone. And we'll see you in tomorrow's video, whether, playoff baseball goes on. Just keep watching baseball if you want to. Maybe take a break from baseball. But regardless, hopefully you tune in tomorrow and you tune into our channels. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.